Oh, happy hump day, everybody. Ready for another great edition of Cocktails with Cav, another incredible indie creator. We bring the meet and greet to you. Oh, I'll tell you what, we've survived election day. It's over. I'll tell you what, though, I did wake up this morning. I was a little sad. All day I've been sad. All my famous friends that have been texting me 2-3 times a day. Hey, George, what's up? Hey, George, how you doing? They knew me personally. All these famous people texted me. They just dried up. Nobody's texted me today. They must be tired from last night. I don't know. Oh, but it's over. We've survived. So let's get back to these awesome indie creators. And as always, look, follow the show, share the stream so more people can get to know these great indie authors, entertainers, and artists. Tonight's show, look, brought to you again by our great friends at Run Amok Books. Their link will be in the description for you. And as a indie publishing outfit, look, we've had the privilege to interview authors all over the world. And every author that's had a relationship with Run Amok Books, just nothing but glowing reviews. They're an incredible indie publisher. They love to take care of the creator and let them maintain their creative independence, but they're not afraid to take chances with extraordinary and different voices. So look, give them a look. Run Amok Books. Their link will be in the description for you. Well, let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's show, great thriller author, a fellow veteran of mine. Proud to have him on the show. Please help me welcome to the stage, thriller author, Lloyd Jeffries. Oh, Lloyd, I'm so glad you could finally join us on Cocktails with Cav, bud. Been anxious to get in since I discovered your work. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great, Cav. How you doing?
Oh, we're hanging in, man. I tell you how you're doing. How are you doing after Milton? And because you're coming to us right from the Sarasota area, ground zero, and you made out okay.
We had a saying in the military, there's no atheists in foxholes. Yeah, there's no atheists when a big storm like that goes over your head.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
and we kept you guys New Orleans being no stranger to hurricanes. We definitely kept y'all in our thoughts and prayers, and especially, heck, you still had debris piled up from Helene.
Right.
So it was just a hot mess, buddy. Hot mess.
Yeah, paradise, right?
That's right. The cost of living in God's country, baby.
That's right.
Well, Lord, man, we'd love to get the audience to know the creators. It's one of the big reasons I started the Cocktails with Cav show. So please, man, tell us, before we get into talking about your incredible work series that you have out, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into all this incredible writing we're about to talk about.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was in the military for 26 years. I retired. And man, I don't know, probably 15, 17 years ago, I was stationed up in Pensacola. And I was, I've always just sort of written and dabbled things and whatever, and never really thought about, taking it more seriously. And I was driving across this bridge called the Bogan Bridge. And I was driving across the bridge, driving home. It was a long day. And then suddenly I just had this idea, and this idea hit me for this book. And so it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna write this book. And so I wrote the book, and, it took me, 2 months or something. And then I read the book, and then I went, oh my God, that's horrible. Right. And so I was like, man, I've got to learn how to write. And then, I was in the military that whole time. So I was always deploying, always doing this. And I was just doing everything I could to improve myself as a writer. And then, you know, I retired from the military, and then came, you know, went to Utah, was working level 1 trauma center there for a while, and then ended up here in Florida. And, you know, I was doing pretty good. Hadn't really given much thought to, you know, writing or picking that up. And then COVID hit. And then what happened was I ended up getting exposed to COVID, and I didn't get COVID, but I ended up getting exposed to it. And so then I ended up having to, you know, I was upstairs in my house, like I'm just this pariah, right?
Right.
They're sending a drone up with like a hot dog on it. That's what I mean. They're like just bouncing off the walls. And so then I was like, let's pick this book back up, you know? And so then I picked it up, and then that's when Portion of Malice was born. That was the first book. Yeah, so it's been quite a journey getting here. Portion of Malice, I like to say, like, you know, took 12 years to write. And then, you know, it's been a journey since then. But now what I do is I'm a PA, and I work at an urgent care now here in Florida, and I'm an old retired GI, right? So I go out and walk my dog and
right.
Complain about the weather and all the stuff that us old guys are supposed to do. And then, yeah, so just enjoying my best life and enjoying Florida, and got a great family, a great gig. And so that's kind of what I'm doing now, is just trying to get to that next level, and to start this new career in something I'm very passionate about.
Well, it is, and I tell you, we're fortunate enough to be able to interview authors all over the world. You know, I love to get my fellow veterans on, obviously, you know, but you're right. COVID seemed to be one of those instances where you were locked down, and you know, it fostered a lot of great indie work, and you know, yours among them, I feel, you know, and but it gives a sort of focus that you don't ordinarily are afforded in real life, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's the truth, man, because the life of an indie is an interesting thing. It really is. There's it's just starting off from scratch, and there's a ton to learn. There's a ton to do. And you know what I do, like no book gets released until it's polished perfection, right? Because, you know, you have this competition. You're competing with these trade guys that just put out so many books. But I really couldn't go that route, because I think my content's a little bit controversial, and I wanted to write what I wanted to write, what I was passionate about. And I certainly didn't want to write about, like, you know, ex-CIA guy, ex-FBI guy, ex-military guy, whatever. You know, I sort of wanted to forge my own path with all of that. And so, yeah, but, you know, if you're going to be in India, I think, you know, I talk to other indies, and I'm like, man, we're all just crazy. Look at the time we put into this, right? You know?
Well, sure. Everything from creation, and, you know, we talk about this ad nauseum, right? Right. You know, from creation all the way through marketing, and it's on us as indie creators. But I tell you, what you mentioned, I think for me is probably what draws me to the indie craft the most, is that freedom from the you know, Legacy 5, you know, gatekeepers.
Yeah, right.
And you know, there's so much great indie work out there that is just waiting to be discovered, that has heart and soul, and isn't, okay, let's write about vampire cheerleaders this month are selling, so that's the only authors we're taking. And you know, it democratizes, I guess, publishing, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because I was on X the other day, and I was, you know, someone had posted a question like, hey, readers, would you rather read a trade book or an indie book? And a lot of people responded to that. So I was going through and reading their responses. And what I found was really the majority response was people were like, well, listen, if I'm looking for something new, something fresh, then I'll go indie. And then they say, if I'm looking for something that's just sort of more tried and true, just kind of the same old tropes, then I'll go trade. But what they all agreed on was that the gap is closing. There's many, many indie authors now that are doing fantastic work and take it seriously. Like I said to my wife the other day, I was like, what did I used to do on days off? Because I just can't remember. I was like, did I go shooting? What did I do? I really can't remember what I used to do when before I really started getting serious about this.
Yeah, and I think, we all talk about the advent of AI, of course, and it's like all technology is getting exponentially more and more capable.
Yeah.
But it's, that heart and soul of the craft. And I think you're right. On X especially, the comments are where the gold is, right? And
yeah,
it's
really,
you do hear people talk. It's something fresh, something new, and for those who take the craft seriously, and wanting to churn out a great product and not the AI one book a week to flood onto Amazon.
Yeah,
for the 99-cent ebook.
Right. And it's like, I spent too much of my life being told what to do, something that I love this much. Like, no one's going to tell me what to do here. I'm gonna publish what I want to publish, and I'm going to make sure that my books are just amazing books that will, blow your mind. And I have a fantastic editor, but at the end of the day, what goes in my books are what I have decided are going in my books. And I really love that freedom. And, it comes down to, I guess we all get into this thinking about money or something. But for me at this point, I'm just like, no, I'm writing this series because I want the series to stand the test of time. And I want to really, to talk about the things that I want to talk about and really just give a good story. I'm not so concerned with genres. And you'll see that in my work where I mix in tons of different genres. But the overarching sort of plot point for me is just a good story. And when you look at it and you see, like, look at Rowling with Harry Potter, right? And you can put that into a fantasy genre or whatever else. But the bottom line is that was a good story. Look at the works of Michael Crichton, like Jurassic Park, a good story. And, a story crafted out of excellence and well represented that ended up grabbing the imagination of the populace. And I'm like, that's what we do. You can say I'm a writer, or, put yourself in whatever box you want to. But at the end of the day, we get to create this stuff from whole cloth. And that's what's so fun about it, is because it's just you and the blank page. And, that's your challenge. Write down something that's really going to be compelling.
Right. And I tell you what, for those that take the indie craft seriously, it's when we talk to a lot of creators, it's, look, if you're going into it for the money, let's but you find really the really talented creators go in it for the story and to touch the public in some sort of way, like all great literature, right? The serious creators, that I think that's where the difference is going to come in, and I hope so anyway. And you've certainly done a great job of it. And when we get back, I tell you, I have to go refill my cocktail. You have me incredibly parched after all this excitement, buddy.
All right.
But when we get back, we'll talk about your incredible series, and just please fill us in when we get back, bud.
Fantastic. I'll be happy to do that.
Okay, everybody, got to pay those bills. Quick mid-roll break real fast. Look, as an Amazon affiliate, I only advertise products I truly believe in, and I wanted to give everyone a heads up on this incredible product that I use myself, especially when traveling. You cannot go wrong with the Camrui Mini Desktop PC. With 16 gigs DDR4 RAM, as well as a 512 gig hard drive, it's as powerful as the big, huge desktop I have at home in my office. And when I'm traveling, look, you can see it fits in the palm of your hand. It's so easy to travel with. With its multiple HDMI ports, I just simply plug it into the TV in my RV or hotel room, and I have as much computing power as I need to even produce my Cocktails with Cav show on the road. So if you're in the market for a PC, please check out our affiliate link in the description. It is so incredibly inexpensive, you're not going to believe it. So do yourself a favor, go click that affiliate link and check it out. You'll be glad you did. Oh, Lloyd, thanks for hanging in with me, buddy. What do you have on your end in beautiful Florida, buddy?
Ice cold beer.
Ah, you cannot go wrong. The staple.
That's true.
We're unseasonably warm. People around the rest of the country and the world sometimes don't remember that we stay seasonable down here in paradise.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was 82 today, and I was like, oh man, Florida weather. This is great.
That's right. Nothing like Christmas in shorts. That's my Oh man, but Lloyd, I tell you what, like we were talking about before the break, just the craft and your incredible stories, the supernatural thrillers. You have a great series up. And man, I would certainly love, like I said, when I discovered your work and your love of the craft, man, as an indie creator, we'd love to get you to tell us a little about your series and let people know about these incredible supernatural thrillers you have going on.
Yeah, and this series has been, it has been blooming before my eyes, which is incredible. But it starts with a portion of Malice, which really follows the tale. It's really narrated by this guy who is named Emery Merrick. And he was a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. He was at the top of his game. And then everything just sort of went sideways on him. And it didn't, it was his own fault, really. He got into drugs and he got into alcohol. And before you know, he loses his job, loses his wife, has no money. And the book starts where he's sitting in this crappy apartment in this whole different town, and he's making this suicide recording where he is fixing to end his life because he's just had enough. And then right when he's about to pull the trigger, there's a knock on the door. And so he answers the door, and it ends up being the representative of this well-known billionaire philanthropist who is named Thaddeus Drake. And he is known worldwide for making peace in war-torn regions. And so he just has this international fame, and he hires Emery to write his biography. And so then Emery jumps at the chance. He's like, hey, I'm going to get a ton of money from this, and this is maybe a way to sort of reclaim the shambles of my life. And so what happens is, in his first meeting with Drake is telling him, listen, just so you know what you're getting into, I am actually Cain of the Bible. I'm immortal. I have been around for a millennium, and so I killed my brother Abel. I was tossed out of the Garden of Eden and basically cursed to live forever. And so a portion of Malice, it starts off saying, consider this backstory. And what it is, it's just the story up to the modern times, like how Cain became Thaddeus Drake, and it combines legends of from other religions, and it really just pulls all that together in a compelling way. Where I should say spoiler alert if you haven't read portion, but you'll see that in the description of my other books. At the end of this book, Cain goes through this whole journey, and Emery's there for all of it, where he finds out that Thaddeus Drake is the head of this secret society that just has incredible power, and really there's nothing that they don't control. And I thought that was interesting, just from a current standpoint, where we're always thinking about the deep state, right? Is the deep state a thing? Is this a real thing? Well, it turns out that Thaddeus Drake has decided that he is sick of his existence, and what he's going to do is his plan is to usher in the prophecies of the end times and to either bring about the apocalypse or to finally get God's attention, where he offers humanity as a sacrifice for his heavenly reward, essentially. But then the big surprise at the end of Portion of Malice, if you read it, you find out that Cain is Thaddeus Drake, this guy that hired Emery, is actually the Antichrist. That's how Portion of Malice ends. And so you're like, you know, whoa. And then
the cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's a
right.
big cliffhanger. And so Emery is just like the everyman, where he's just seeing all of these unbelievable things. And, you know, Cain tries to have an audience with God, and it ends up failing. And there's this whole exciting climax. But at the end, you find out, and again, that's the backstory, that Thaddeus Drake is really the Antichrist. And so then you move on to Measure a Rhyme. And Measure a Rhyme was Rhyme Carter is Emery's true love. And that was the woman that he was married to. Well, he thinks that she's dead. That was the final straw that pushed him to push this pistol to his temple. Well, then in Measure a Rhyme, you find out that she wasn't really dead, and that Thaddeus Drake, or Cain, the Antichrist, had convinced her to marry him, and she agreed to do that, all to keep Emery safe. So we bring in this dynamic female character, Rhyme Carter, who is just like, she's just great, you know. She is just completely feminine, but she's tough as nails. She was a former librarian, but then her life took a turn and took her down paths. And so then you get to see like Rhyme and Emery going through, like, well, first of all, how are we going to face this together? And then what the Antichrist is up to, fulfilling these prophecies, like rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem, starting a one world currency. And I mean, it's really, really complicated. Like, all my reviews and what I get from readers all the time is just like, wow, what a tapestry this is. And what I'm writing is an epic saga. I don't plan on this, or there's no way this could be a 2 or 3 book series. I'm writing an epic, right? I'm trying to write something that really stands the test of time, but also makes you think and is a commentary on everything we're dealing with today. And so then you move into the newest book that's out, which is called Embers of Shadow. And then that takes this story and this cast even deeper into the end times and the apocalypse and Emery and Rhyme. And there's so many other characters, but you get to see what they're all trying to do as the world sort of crumbles around them. And then I've got it finished, probably coming out in January sometime. The 4th book will be called The Tempests of Time. And that book is just really, man, that thing is over the top. It's like my favorite book ever.
Oh, it's an incredible story. When's the movie? No.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, well, and I'll tell you, you know, when we talk about just as you're creating this saga, how many, you know, you're on the 3rd book, like you said, the 4th about to come out possibly in January, you said. What's the plan for the series, for the Ages of Malice series?
You know, every time I make a plan, you know what they say, right? Any plan goes out the window within 30 seconds of enemy contact, right?
Right.
Yeah. So every time I make a plan, I start writing and I start exploring these things. And this is what I love about this, because I bring in pop culture, I bring in history, art, I bring in religion, I bring in psychology, I bring in spirituality. And so every time I try to write one of these books, or I sit down to write a book, the characters just end up going places where I don't expect them to go, or I have a mind-blowing sort of epiphany where I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, I'm writing a big, big story here. And this big story, like, I feel like it's my life's work, and I will do this justice. So there's no hurry. I like to say that maybe I'll be able to wrap it up in 7 or 8 books. And I think I will be. I think with the newest book coming out, Tempests of Time, my thought is that that's the widest this story is going to get, if that makes sense. And from there, we'll start going toward the end of the series, I think. Because, again, lots of times you start writing, I could tell you so many examples in my books where, you know, a character did something where I was just like, oh, wow, man, I did not see that coming. Thanks a lot for that. But when that happens, I don't go back and delete that. I sit there and I go, okay, yeah, well, how does that change things? And what's the ripple effects through that throughout every other character in the world? And so, yeah, I think 7 or 8 books will probably wrap it up. And, you know, if like most writers, I have more ideas than I possibly have time to write. But I think once I finish Ages of Malice series, then I'm going to go back and do a Rhyme Carter series, which is all just what, you know, from Rhyme just in her small town roots to when she ends up meeting Emery. And because there's some backstory there between Rhyme and Kane, where they had basically battled before that, you know, before Emery ever came in the picture. But for Ages of Malice, it starts with Emery, and he's just blown away and dumbfounded by all of these things going on, and he's trying to find some middle ground, but he just keeps getting knocked on his ass every time he turns around, you know?
Man, well, Lloyd, I tell you what, it is just an incredible story, incredible supernatural thriller saga, and I tell you, you are doing it justice, because like I said, look, plenty of rave reviews and awards for a portion of Malice. Yeah, obviously collecting some medallions, buddy.
You bet.
But even a measure of Rhyme, you know, is well on its way to collecting more awards. It's a great indie creation, and I'm sure Embers of Shadow, you're gonna rake them in, buddy, because it's just like you said, you're insistent on doing it justice as part of the indie craft, and
you bet, and
just churning out a quality story, which I think is what it's all about, my friend. That's for sure. So, man, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not gotten a chance to know Lloyd, obviously, reason we do the Cocktails with Cav show, look, we're bringing these author meet and greets to you because I'm a huge fan of that. Get to know the creator, and as you can tell, Lloyd's just a heck of a guy. And if you haven't gotten to know him, he's great to engage with. Follow him on X, at Lloyd Jeffries 2, I believe you handle.
Yeah, Lloyd Jeffries 2, you bet. And that's really the only social media platform that I use, but I answer all my own emails. You know, I love to hear what people are thinking, good or bad. You know, lots of times my stories will piss people off, and that's okay. I like that level of engagement, right? I think that absolutely. If you're two humans, you should be able to talk about things dispassionately that you disagree about.
No, too true. And ladies and gentlemen, by all means, check out Lloyd's work. Available wherever you get your fine reading materials. But of course, all the links will be in the description of the show for Lloyd's great website, as well as his Amazon affiliated links for this great 3-book series that's out right now. Waiting for the 4th in January.
Yeah.
And that's it. You heard it here first on Cocktails with Cav, buddy.
That's right.
Book 4 probably coming out in January. And Lloyd, please, by all means, keep up with us, bud. And love to have you back on. Keep talking about your work if we need to, but can't wait for the next one to come out as well, my friend.
Absolutely, Kevin. Hey, thanks for what you're doing, man. Thanks for highlighting us poor schmucks out here at the blank page.
Oh, I am just a humble vessel, my friend. But Lloyd, from New Orleans and down Sarasota Way in Lakewood Ranch, Florida, my friend, cheers.
Cheers to you, my friend.